Welcome to the overview for Sage Intacct Smart Events. We're going to talk and learn about how to create smart events within Sage Intacct. Basically, what a smart event is a condition. It triggers an email or a post to a web application to an API call, something that will automate your communications based on an event that arises inside your company's workflow within Intacct. In this course, we're going to go through how to set it up, how to test it, how to do some email notifications, how to do ones that will write and make API calls to other areas in your system. So what we're going to do right here is kind of give you a couple examples of what you might use a smart event for within Sage Intacct. One of the things you can do is it can trigger an email notification. So you may want to be alerted, for example, when something new gets set up. So for example, let's say in this case, we want to get an email notification when any vendor is created or approved that is a subcontractor, because there's some other things that I need to do to make sure that subcontractor is ready to go and we're able to pay it. Maybe I want to make sure I get all my compliance set up, things like that. So I want to be notified when a new one gets set up so that I could go, perform my work and I don't have to keep checking every day. You can get to smart events within platform services. You'll see them here under smart events. I have a favorite here. So I'm going to go right into smart event. I'm just going to show you an example. So we have one set up in here called AP vendor sub create. And we're going to go through how to name, what naming structures you should use. But if we just take a quick peek, basically there's a wizard where you're going to pick what area in the system do you want to do this off of, and what event does it trigger off of? Add, edit, delete, approve. And then we're just going to say for only vendors that are subcontractors. We don't need to get a message if it's a overhead supplies or office supplies or something like that type of vendor, just subcontractors. So you're going to put a condition in. And then let me take a step back there. And then you're also going to trigger the type of action. So we'll show you two examples. One is an email and one is an API call. So we just want to get an email. And in here, who am I going to email it to? What do I want the email to say? And what information do I want to pull into the body? And we're going to get into in this course how to get all this information on the screen, how to use HTML coding if you want it more colorful, things like that. But basically, as you go through this wizard, you're going to be naming it, giving it a nice description, and making it active. And as soon as you make it active, it's ready to use. So let's go ahead and let's go do one. I'm going to go into my GC company, and I'm going to create a vendor. So I'm just going to go into accounts payable, and I'm going to hit the plus button to add a new vendor. And let's call it... Okay, we're going to give it a name. Normally you're going to fill out all this information. Check out our refinement courses on smart events if you want to make any of these fields required and provide messages for it as well. We have a whole course on that. But in this scenario, I'm just going to make sure I fill out that vendor type because that's what my smart event is triggered on. So the type ID here, I'm going to say this is going to be a subcontract type. So once I save that, that should trigger a smart event. Let's see. Oh, and we also have a smart rule set up for this where it's saying, hey, make sure you add vendor terms. So that's an example of the smart rule course that we have for refinement. So, like I said, go check that out. That's in this same section under platform services. Yep. Okay. So let's go over to here and let's just fill out a term just so we can get that. We'll say net 30 and we'll hit save. So as soon as that gets saved, if we quickly look over at in our company setup, we can see we have a smart events job area. So you can also monitor that smart event, and it already happened. So we should be getting an email, or I should be getting an email because that's how I set it up. And I just heard a little ding. So it looks like my email is there. I'm going to open it up and I'm going to pull it over. So there's an example. I got the email with, less than a minute there. But basically, I just got notified that the new vendor is set up. Here's the information, when it was set up, and a direct link to that vendor record. So the user not only gets a notification, but which one is it? I can click as long as they're logged in. If they're not logged in Intacct, it's going to make them log in. But I can come into here and it'll bring that vendor right up. And now I can go and do my information in here and I can review it. I can edit it. I can do whatever I want to do in the system. Okay. So that's a quick example of an email notification smart event. Another area that becomes very useful, and you'll find many needs for it as you start getting into and through deployment, is using the API calls, writing to fields. So you don't have to go and do and fill out fields in different areas in the system. So for example, for this smart event, let's go over to my favorites again. Let's go back to our smart event list. I also have another one set up here called employee earning type regular. So what I want to do here is when you set up an employee in time and expense, I'm just going to go take a look at an employee here. There is an area here for earning type. And it's a field that can be overlooked pretty easily, but I don't want to have the user fill this out every time. I just want to write this as my default. Any employee that gets set up in the system, I want to just put them with a default earning type of regular type. Okay. So you can automate that process through a smart event and an API call. So if we take a quick look at this setup, it's going to look similar, but a little different once we get to the one tab. If we go into edit here, you'll notice I'm going to pick where to do this. This is the employee record. And again, you're going to have a drop-down list of all that. And I'm going to hit next. And now my action is going to change. Before we said email. In this case, I want an API write into the database. And I want to do it anytime a new employee is added or set. And set means edited. So if somebody edits it and takes out the REG for some reason on accident, I want to make sure it gets written back in. So then the condition that's going to be met is not equal to an employee type of equipment. We're also using the time and expense employee area to track our pieces of equipment. And so for those types of employees, we don't want to put in a regular pay. We're going to put in a separate thing for that. So any employee that's set up that is not equal to an equipment type, I want this to happen for. And I'll just go through that wizard again. And now, here is the API call that needs to be filled in. And again, this course is going to go through those API calls, how to write them, how to find out what you need to fill in here for updates and creates and all that good stuff. So we're going to dig in more detail in the next courses in the refinement course for smart events particular. So this is the API call. Basically, it's saying whenever the employee is created, go to this field earning type and fill out this ID, REG, which is my ID. And then you're going to name it and give it a description just like before. So again, as soon as I activate it, that's going to be set up in the system. And let's go and do one. So I'm going to go back to my employee list and I'm going to create a new employee. In this case, I don't have my numbering pre-fills turned on. So I'm going to give it its own employee number. And to make it easy to find in our demo here, I'm just going to put an X in front and we'll call it 99. And let's go ahead and set up Tiger Woods. And we'll add a contact because that's what's going to happen in your normal process here is you're going to come into here and add a contact. Oh. I'm going to skip the email information right now, but normally you would fill that out as well. Save. And then I'm going to put a start date in, just some things. As I'm filling this out, it's going to require location, which is entity or company. So I'm going to say it's for the GC company. And I'm just not going to fill out this earning types here. So I'm going to leave this blank. And again, like before with smart rules, you could make other fields required as well. Now, the most important thing is you'll notice that I have an employee type that fills in here and is full time. So on my drop-down list, I can select equipment and things like that. So this should pre-fill in, which is nice. So it's a full-time. It should trigger that smart event. When I click save, that will trigger that event. So the API call usually takes a little longer than the email would. But if I go over to my company area and I look at my smart event job, you can see there's one in progress. And what this does now is this shows you smart events that have been activated but haven't completed yet. So if I want to view the detail, you can see I actually triggered 2 because I have another one set up here. And it's just saying right now it's in process. So when it's completed, it won't show on this list anymore. So usually if you want to test it, you want to watch it, you can refresh that screen a little bit. And so what we'll do is we'll stick here for a second, we'll wait, and then we'll do a quick refresh and go check it out again. All right, let's go ahead and try and refresh this again. And now we know, see, it's gone here. Okay, so you can check the smart event job history and you can see that it succeeded here. Okay, so let's take a quick look. Let's go back to the employee and I'm gonna hit the X button so I can search on my employee pretty quick. There's my employee 99, Tiger Woods. I can go to editor view and I can take a look at that record and you'll notice the earning type is filled in. So you can do the API calls with the smart events, and that's really where you start seeing the power in the system.